This is Golf with Jay Delsing. A two-time All-American at UCLA. Competed in nearly 700 PGA Tour events, 7 professional wins to his credit. Over 30 years of professional golf experience. A member of the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame and the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. This is Golf with Jay Delsing.
Welcome into Golf with Jay Delsing. We do it every week, coming to you from the CarShield Studios and presented by Daugherty Business Solutions. Couple of great guests coming up. Annika Sorenstam, one of the all-time great players in the history of golf, not just women's golf, but overall. Winner of 96 international professional tournaments, the most of any female golfer. And her wins include 72 LPGA events, 10 majors. She came through St. Louis 8 different times and won 4 of the 8 events. Annika Sorenstam is coming up. Then a local legend as well. He'll be in studio with us, Dan Politis of DP Golf Indoors. So I can't wait to get it going. And Jay, good morning to you.
Danny, good morning. Great to be with you. How about this? How about this lineup we got now? We got to love. I mean, anytime you get someone who's in the GOAT conversation like Annika is special. And then when you start talking about our good buddy Dan Politis, he's the GOAT conversation in terms of human beings. He's as good as they come.
How long have you known Dan? I've known him a long time. We used to do some radio and TV together.
That was fun. That was fun to learn
way back
that.
when, a couple of decades ago, but it's going to be great to catch up with them. For Dan, how long have you known him?
Oh, boy. You know, it's one of those things where we date ourselves when we start answering questions like this. But I would say 30 years minimum, probably more. I mean, when I start thinking about how long ago it was that I went to college, I'm like, oh man, don't even bring it up. It's so long ago. But yeah, Dan's been one of those guys where he has been a warrior for golf, and he is. I think he's part of the Althoff boys and girls high school teams. He's had some state championships over there. He's been a fixture in the Gateway section, Danny, for as long as I can remember. And he's very, very involved in a lot of things. But the teaching and coaching summit, it's very near and dear to his heart. And he's just wonderful at it. He's also given so much to his community from a political standpoint where, public servant, that sort of thing. He's involved in, so he's got a full day, a full bag of tricks, so to speak, and a lot on his plate. So he's one of those guys that's just an asset to your community. You think golf, but you also think of some of the other things he does, and he has fun doing it. He's just a fun guy.
I can't wait to visit with him and Annika Sorenstam. And as I mentioned earlier, it's not just men's golf, it's women's golf, and bottom line is she's one of the best that's ever played the game.
Yeah, I mean, look at Danny, this is so, we have had the pleasure when you look back at some of the all-time greats that we've had on the show. You first, start at the top of the list with Jack Nicklaus, then you go to Lee Trevino, you think of Tom Watson, you think of Curtis Strange and Andy North, and now you have Annika Sorenstam. We've had Julie Inkster on the show multiple times. We had our good friend, oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank of the young lady that grew up in Forest Park, Judy Rankin. These guys are, when you slap Hall of Fame tag on somebody, man, it's pretty cool. And when you start breaking down Annika's career, it is really, really impressive.
Isn't it amazing, though, Jay, how much the game has changed? From when she was playing to what we see now, the power in the game. And the power in the game is obviously it's transformed it, but it's on the women's side as well.
No, there's no question. I mean, the women are just getting better and better and better, and everyone is improving, and it's fun to really watch. The LPGA has some really compelling players out there. You get somebody like a Lydia Ko, who just recently qualified for the hardest Hall of Fame of all, which is the LPGA Hall of Fame, where you have to earn points and things like that, Danny, and you have to get 30 points and that means 3 majors and multiple championships, some sort of combination of points. And so she's a kind of diminutive. She's short. She's not powerful, but she's surgical. And she just goes at a golf course like, with a surgeon's precision. And then you get someone like a Nelly Korda. Oh my gosh, this woman was made to do this, And so there's all sorts of different ways to get it done. And all you have to do is plug into the LPGA and they'll show you.
What is the difference in the swings from the women's side to the men's side? I hear you talk about it all the time. You tell people, if you want to learn how to swing the golf club, watch the LPGA Tour.
100%. Danny, what the men do, just because of their anatomy, they're physiologically stronger, that what the men do and are able to do with their hips and with working out to get their bodies in certain kind of condition, it just makes it almost unreachable for the average guy. You just can't relate to how fast these guys are swinging the golf club. You just can't. You could try, but you just can't. But what happens with the girls, and again, Danny, it's only physiological. It's just natural physics where, the men have the opportunity to max out muscle-wise their bodies more so than the girls. But when you think about that difference, so you talk about the length of the golf courses. So the men are going to be playing 7,300 and above. The women don't go that far, but you still watch the game. And the guys the men and women that love the game, that are our local warriors and our weekend warriors, you can relate to someone hitting your 5-iron 185 yards or 190 yards instead of 240 yards and things like that. And so that's the thing that I want them to kind of plug into. You can relate to a 500-yard par 5 being something that, hey, I got to pop a couple good ones here and I can get on. It's not like you watch the men and they play a 640-yard par 5 and they're hitting, driver in a 4-iron. It just doesn't make any sense.
Let's tip our cap. Tip of the cap brought to you by
the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. Our buddy Colin Burnt. We've been wearing Colin. He does not want to have the Delsing number pop up on caller ID anymore. Joe had trouble with her car getting to school. The tires on my Yukon are all whacked up. But 314-966-0303. And I'm just kidding. Colin is a great guy. Call him today. He will treat you like family.
And the tip of the cap is brought to you by those good folks. And we're going to get into what you said to me. You want to tip your cap to the LPGA Tour.
Absolutely, Danny. The LPGA Tour is improving leaps and bounds from the product that they had when we were playing on tour. There's so many compelling stories over there. There's such great golf. Now, there's always been great golf, but it isn't. As the men improve, the women are improving. They're getting love from sponsorships, as they should. They're playing for significant amounts of money, as they should. And what they need, what the next step, Danny, is this dominant player like a Nelly Korda staying hot, staying strong, and more prime time viewership, because that will it's the chicken or the egg, Danny. Like, how do we get to this level? Do we, is it we got to get more eyeballs on this thing, and you know how ratings work. You don't get them until you get them, so to speak. So the LPGA is coming. They're coming fast. They're coming hard, and it's a great, great product. And that's the tip of the cap. And it's brought to you by the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. 314-966-0303. Colin Burnt's your guy. I know it says Volkswagen. He can get you any vehicle you want.
I want to make sure that if you're headed to the Golf Expo, the SSM Health Physical Therapy booth will be there. Tell them that Jay sent you for special pricing. It will include the Titleist Performance Institute, TPI, that screen that will generate individual workout plan for you to address mobility and stability issues, along with the K-Vest evaluation, which is a 4-sensor 3D motion capture device, and it generates a 10-page report. Screen takes 90 minutes, so if you're headed to the Golf Expo, make sure and see our buddy Brad Henderson, SSM Health Physical Therapy booth.
How about that expo? You guys go to that expo. You might see Danny and I popping up. We wore
it's not might. You will.
You saw some people. Elevate's going to have a really cool presence at the very beginning. So, folks, look for Elevate Golf out there. They've got their presence out there. APT, Matt Minder. We've got a lot of friends of the show, a lot of people that support the show. Matt Minder and his folks will be out there. The DeGrands will be the Pro-Am Golf. If you go to this expo, you will not be able to miss the Pro-Am Golf Expo and their demonstration area. They've got a ton of stuff, and they're a huge sponsor in that. And it's all fun, all good.
That's Jay. I'm Dan. This is Golf with Jay Delsing. We do it every week, 2 hours. And again, if you just joined us, Annika Sorenstam, the winner of 96 international professional tournaments, most of any female golfer is coming up. That did include 77 LPGA events and 10 majors. She is coming up. And then in studio, a local legend, Dan Politis, will be our guest. You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
You've heard me talking about the APT this year, but I want to help break down what this tour is all about. Firstly, it's the Amateurs Players Tour. I was lucky and privileged to have played golf on the PGA Tour, golf's highest level, so I know what it's like to have a real strong and fair competition. For amateur golf, this is absolutely the closest thing to PGA Tour style golf in terms of fairness of handicaps and the competition. Secondly, APT is the largest amateur tour in the country. In just over 6 years, Matt Minder and his team have over 7,000 members with over 44 local chapters spread across the country. The Amateur Players Tour runs over 800 tournaments a year. 800! That number alone tells you that they are doing something right. They play some premium golf courses around the country like Paynes Valley, Kiowa Island Ocean Course, and Torrey Pines South, and many more. Go to amateurplayerstour.com and find out for yourself. That's amateurplayerstour.com.
Hello, friends. This is Jim Nance, and you are listening to Golf with my friend Jay Delsing.
Are you driving an out-of-warranty car? It's only a matter of time before your out-of-warranty vehicle is in the shop costing you thousands of dollars. Auto repair costs are up nearly 20% from last year, which is 4 times the rate of inflation. If an unexpected breakdown happened today, would you be ready for that? Well, now you can be with a plan through CarShield. Even if your car is just over 3 years old, it's still prone to expensive costs. Your car is more than just getting you from point A to point B. Traveling by car is a way of life. From picking up your kids to going to a new restaurant, cars are a daily essential. When you enroll in a car protection plan through CarShield, you can look forward to the following. The price will never go up no matter how many claims you file, or no matter how high the mileage on your car increases. CarShield offers protection plans that start as low as $100 per month. That's $100 per month. They have repair coverage for up to 5,000 different parts of your vehicle. Plus, when your car breaks down and you're stuck on the side of the road, you get 24/7 coast-to-coast roadside assistance. You also get complimentary towing and rental car options. CarShield has my back when my car breaks down, and they can have yours too. Call CarShield today at 800-465-6550 or visit carshield.com. It's CarShield, proud sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing. To connect with Jay, log on to jdelsinggolf.com. You'll see the latest in equipment, find the latest innovations in golf, and get tips from a PGA professional. That's jdelsinggolf.com.
Daugherty Business Solutions has been enhancing the business of our customers for the last 37 years. How do we do it? Through our expertise in technology, better use of data and analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. We roll up our sleeves and collaborate. We build applications and effectively communicate with our partner clients to bring their goals and objectives to the finish line. Our award-winning Access Point program is a community game changer. With nearly 100 students in the program, mostly young African-American females are making between $55,000 and $60,000 per year right out of high school. That's right, $55,000 to $60,000 a year right after high school graduation. That's when they begin their training. CEO Ron Daugherty believes the talent is equally distributed, but access to that opportunity is not. So here's Access Point, providing more and more opportunity for those in and around our community. It's Daugherty Business Solutions. When you're in the market for a new car, there's only one place that I go, and that's Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. Please call Colin Byrne over there. He's fantastic. His number is 314-966-0303. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood will treat you like your family. Not sure you want to buy a car? The Dean Team Volkswagen has the area's largest selection of pre-owned vehicles for lease or purchase. Colin found my Yukon that I'm driving today, and I love it. It's the best vehicle I've ever driven. My daughter Jo is on her third Volkswagen. She just took her car to service to get an oil change, and she said to me, and I'm quoting, "Dad, these guys are so nice, and they took such great care of me. They made sure her car was in great shape to get her back to school." Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood, the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
This is Golf with Jay Delsing, rated as the #1 golf show in the Midwest. Now let's get back to Jay and Dan.
This is Golf with Jay Delsing, and with Jay Delsing, I'm Dan McLaughlin. What a pleasure this is to have one of the greatest golfers that's ever walked the planet with us. Annika Sorenstam, winner of 96 international professional tournaments, the most of any female golfer, and her wins include 72 LPGA events and 10 majors. Annika, thanks for joining us. And can you add to your resume? I mean, what else can you do?
Well, hello. Thanks for having me. I appreciate that introduction. I'm not really sure how to follow that up, but glad to be with you.
Well, Annika, the truth of it is, Danny could go on his real list, and I could go get us all a cup of coffee and come back with a sandwich too, because what you've accomplished is just absolutely outstanding. But one of the things we love to do is talk about how you started in the game and who were early influences.
Sure. No, a lot of this is thank you to my parents. My parents introduced me to the game, but also my younger sister, Charlotta. As a matter of fact, my mom, she takes credit for all the success because she was pregnant with me when she started. So she told me that I could feel the rhythm and the swing even when I was in her belly. So, but kidding aside, they've been very instrumental. I grew up in Stockholm, Sweden. I played all kinds of sports. Golf was actually not really my first love because I thought it was a little slow, and a lot of older people played. I was more interested in tennis. I competed for 8 years. I played soccer. I did a lot of downhill skiing. That's what Swedes got to do. And so, I've tried every sport. But golf was just something, we would kind of please our parents and hang out. And so I learned the game early, but really didn't catch on until I would say in my mid-teens, when I realized that this is really hard and this is challenging and it's fun. And I loved just everything about the sport, being outside and practicing on my own and trying to figure out different shots. And so it was kind of a late, I blossomed late, but really just loved it ever since.
Do you think that other sports were instrumental in getting you to the point that you were at, which was just an incredible golfer? So really, what drove you to be the best, and do you feel like other sports helped you along the way in the game of golf?
Yeah, I am a big believer that other sports it's a good thing to try different sports. as a young, as a kid, and just first of all, figure out what you like. If you like team sports, individual sport, indoor sport, I mean, you name it. But it also teaches you so much. I think sports in general, as you know, I mean, it's about practicing and being disciplined and having patience and focus, and of course, the physical activity. So it's it's a healthy thing. And I think the sports really taught me so much about golf in that sense. But I also think golf teaches you, take the next step. Golf teaches you so much about life. I didn't really see that in other sports, but golf has really put everything in perspective.
It really has. And Annika, one of the things that I got so lucky timing wise is when I got on tour, Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus were still very involved, and they taught us, you're going home and you're going to bring an event to your city, or you're going to bring something, to the local community, and you're going to keep, showing people how golf provides. And my gosh, when I think of that, it kind of was impressed upon me, and I wasn't all that aware that it was happening. But I mean, I can remember you coming to St. Louis and playing an LPGA event at Forest Hills. I can remember talking to Jack Nicklaus and Tom Watson, who both reiterated what you said. Let your kids play other sports. Let your kids play other sports because it'll really help them with golf and life.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And then when you have, role models, like you mentioned, Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer, I mean, they were exciting, and they were fun, and they were great, and they were friendly. And I mean, they were just very approachable. And I think that brings people into the sport. And, as you know, I mean, nowadays things have, changed a little bit because, the coaching is a lot more advanced and a lot more serious. And, the resources they have for young kids nowadays is, it's much bigger, and the commitment as a parent, it's a lot more. And I think that's sometimes makes it harder for some kids because they want to play different sports, and and then when you join, football or baseball or basketball, and then you realize, how am I going to squeeze in the other sports? And so nowadays I feel like kids get pushed into one sport too soon, and I, obviously the future will tell how that is, but I don't think it's good to be so, just working on one motion the whole time. I know a lot of kids get burned out, and which is too bad because I think there's still a way to be able to find that balance, but it does get competitive. But you need, like Tiger is bringing a lot of people into the sport, as you know, and, you can look at other sports, Steph Curry in basketball. You need those, I think, role models and people that are, make it fun or just like they inspire you to do something differently.
Annika Sorenstam is our guest. And Annika, we are based in St. Louis, and LPGA made a tour stop here 8 different years. And of course, you won 4 of those, 4 out of the 8. So what do you recall about that? And what do you recall about your time in St. Louis?
I love St. Louis. What can I say? I love the golf course and the people there. And I mean, it's a Midwest type city. People are very friendly, and we had so much support there. It was a little community, but they didn't really have a lot of big sports at that time. So the LPGA was kind of a highlight for many. Lots of people signed up as volunteers, and Anheuser-Busch was a big sponsor, and I think people wanted a beer at the same time watching golf. So there's a lot of a lot of good synergy there. But yeah, I did play well there, and I think every time I showed up, I just had good vibes about the place. And as a matter of fact, I mean, I still keep in touch with several people. And my CFO today, she was there, and I met her there all these years ago, and we kept in touch, and then we start working together. So yeah, it's been. It's close to my heart for sure.
You had a lot of good vibes at a lot of places, though. Let's just say that. And when you showed up, a lot of people were playing for second. But Annika, one of the things that's so impressive is that when you look at what, as you started developing as a player, you were must-watch TV for the LPGA Tour. You were so instrumental in making that tour what it is today and what it's going to be, because if people don't know, the LPGA Tour is something they've got to pay attention to, because there's some great players out there and there's really great golf.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the LPGAs, I mean, we haven't touched our full potential yet. And, every year the golf gets better. The players get, they're just, more physically strong, and I don't know, they're just amazing ambassadors for the sport, and it's such a global game, and I really love the fact that, you can always find somebody, to cheer for, whether, from New Zealand, from Canada, from Thailand, from USA, from Sweden, or whatever. There's just a lot of good players out there, but I think most of all, they're wonderful human beings. They really are, committed to the community. They do a lot for charity, and young girls that come out there, especially, they're very approachable. So, I see the game, still continue to grow, and it's like anything, you need to be seen to be heard. And so, in a perfect world, if the LPGA could be more on TV on regular times, I think people will be, more intrigued about the sport, because, you take players, like Nelly Korda, of course, was the number one player there. She's probably one of the best swings in golf and drives it beautifully. And she's very athletic, and it's, that's something just to emulate or just watch. And so, yeah, I think people would really enjoy the game. I think it has changed. These women drive it, 270, 280. It's just really come a long way, and I think people will be impressed if they went out to watch them, or even, participated in a pro-am. I think they'd be like, wow, these ladies can really play. And it's had the stigma for a while, right? Women's golf, but it's turned around the last, 20, 30 years. I know that sounds like a long time, but it takes a time to change. And so hopefully people get engaged will, connect to them a little bit more.
Annika, we love the PNC event. It is awesome to see the players with family members and competing. What was that like for you, and what has that experience been like for you?
Well, we love PNC Championship also. It is, it's such a fun week, a special week. It's a heartwarming week. I just never really thought that maybe that would be a possibility for us, but with our son Will, his love for the game and his passion to be out there and compete, and so for the two of us to walk inside the ropes, and with my husband Mike on the bag and my dad there helping, it really is a family championship. And as you know, as a playing professional, it's you've always needed this support system, whether it started with your parents or maybe grandparents, and then you have family, and then you have your partner, and then you have kids. Everybody's really involved in the sport, so this is a way to bring them into it, because without that support system, we wouldn't really have had the success that we've had on tour. So to be able to do that together, and to walk around, whoever you play with, I'm just throwing out a name, Mark O'Mara with his son Sean, and listen to their stories, or Tom Lehman and Bernard Langer, and Jason. It just, I don't know, there's just something so special about it. And with Will, he's just he loves the game, and he's very competitive, and so it's not a walk in the park for me. I can tell you that. There's a lot of pressure. He's expecting me to hit fairways and hit greens, and so but I love it. It brings out the best of me. Yeah, no, it's I hear that a lot, and which is kind of fun. And I try to give some of it back to him a little bit. I'm not a big trash talker, but I can tell that he is. So I try to get him a little here and then, get him fired up. And because nowadays we play the same tees, and I know in the future I tell him I'm going to move up and you're going to move back. So so we have a lot of fun. This year we had little side bets, and for us, it's he had if he didn't do as many birdies as we planned on doing, then it's the dishes for him, and then if he does really well, then I'll take him to Menchie's. So we have little incentives on the side, and it's just those the family obligations that come in as well.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine how much fun that is. Annika, I know one of your major things is charity, and when we start looking at your brand, you've got the Annika Tour, you've got your foundation, but let's talk a little bit about the Annika Tour, because we also got word that you're bringing an Annika Tour event to Whitmore Country Club here in St. Louis later this summer. Obviously not anytime soon, because we still have this white junk on the ground, but talk about that Annika Tour and what that means to you.
Yeah, no, it's great. We started the Annika Foundation in 2007, and the idea was just to be able to give back or just inspire other women around the world to play this wonderful game. And So, we started with one event, and that was, that turned out to be, a great concept here in the U.S. in Orlando. It was, international, young players ages 12 to 16. And some of the players from overseas, they said, well, why don't you host a tournament in our country? And so we have expanded now, and we have 12 global tournaments. And so whether it's we were just in Peru in November, we're going to have one in Thailand. We're working on one in Japan. We have in Europe, just to mention a few. And then, of course, we have a college event where we support, the age group there. But we partnered with, the Annika Women's All Pro Tour, and it's a way to kind of help, not, as you know, the top players, they always get invites, they always have sponsorships, and it's a very small percentage that gets that opportunity. So we want to help the ones that are, that still have the dream to pursue a professional career. And this is the tour that's below the Epsom Tour. So, just helping to get some sponsors, helping to get some exposure, and, obviously help them, again, just it's a way to get into the next tours. And so it's really been fun. And I do some mentoring. Last night we did a virtual session. I do several of those, just talking to different either college teams or individuals. It could be anything about, well, whatever they want it to be, caddies or schedule, or how do you handle, bounce back from a bad shot and anything. So just be able to be there as a support system. The goal for the foundation is to empower these young ladies and advance them in life. And so some of these, lessons we have is also life lessons. So yeah, we have a development program as well, and which we sponsor 9 players now. They get to stay in Aiken, South Carolina, and they go to Old Barnwell, a beautiful new facility to practice. And, when you get out of college, not everybody has a golf club to hang out and practice. I remember when I left University of Arizona, and then I was, when you had a golf club for the university, every morning I had to call the club and say, hey, Annika, can I come out and practice today? And you feel like you're just, you feel like you're very annoying. You feel like you're just, because I didn't have a membership at a club, so we give them the opportunity to have a place to practice, and it's been great. So, just to summarize quickly, we help girls that are from the age of 6 up to whoever's playing on this, the Annika Women's All Pro Tour. So it's been really fun. We're up in our 18th year, and over 1,000 young ladies and women participate in one or more events. And then as far as just giving back to the sports, I think we're counting almost at $9 million. So it's been great to see the growth. And yeah, it's fun. And, we call them Annika alumni. So, it's funny when I compete a little here and there, I'm competing against Annika alumni, and it's like, I can be their mother. But it's funny. It's nice to see them grow. And Nelly Korda has played in a few, and the list goes on. And it's just very, obviously it's rewarding for us to see that it's paying off.
Yeah, I was just you kind of led me down the road of what I wanted to ask you, is that, and Annika Sorenstam is our guest. Winning probably is just the ultimate, and you're talking to 2 guys that have 6 girls, so we are intimately involved in a lot of women's sports. I was going to ask you, though, winning is one thing, but how gratifying is it when you see these girls graduate and move up in golf or move up in the game of life, and how gratifying that must be for you?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're girl dads, and it is different. There's no doubt that, I grew up playing with boys, and there were a lot of girls there, but they didn't have an interest, so then they quit the sport. So, it takes a little bit more for some young girls to want to continue a sport if there's no other girls, and so you have to train differently. But yeah, I just think sport is so good for women. And we know from research and statistics, a lot of women that have high positions in C-suites, they have played one sport or more. They learn early on, the importance of the things we mentioned, maybe dedication or teamwork or focus and balance in life. And so I think sports in general is so important. And, the Annika Foundation, we're not here to necessarily create the next superstar. It's more using golf as, as a platform for life. Many of them are serious now, but as you said, after college, maybe they want to go on and have a degree and pursue that. But I think golf is a sport that you can be involved in the rest of your life. And as we know, and it comes to full circle, is, golf teaches you so much about life. So when they have these positions, they really contribute a lot. And a lot of companies want to hire athletes. They know what they're all about, and these young women are not afraid of working hard.
It's interesting, isn't it, Annika, when you start looking at some of the lessons that you've learned playing, as a young man, when golf kind of bit me, and thank God it did, I had no idea what I was in for. My first love was baseball, and it used to drive me crazy when a pickup game, the shortstop on the other team would have to go home for dinner, and so the golf was one of those things that I could keep pushing and pushing myself for. But the lessons that I've learned, the communities that I've been to, the places that I've been to, when you talk about a sport that just has outkicked its coverage for someone that grew up like me, I still don't really exactly know how I got so lucky.
Yeah, I feel lucky too. It is a game for life, and I do compete a little bit, but I don't really call it competing anymore, I guess. But you're still involved in the sport, and so are you on different levels, and it's just makes you appreciate it so much more, and you see it from a different perspective. And it's I go out there and I play with Will, or sometimes I go out and play with my dad. He's 84, so it's just I can't think of another sport that you can do that. And as you know, if you play in a pro-am or just go out in a round of golf and you meet some new people, you actually get to know them quite well. You see the characters. It stands out quite a bit, especially, if they play well, then you see how they handle success. And if they don't play well, you see how they handle, some, bad bounces or whatever. I think a lot of times if you're going to interview somebody for a job, take them out on the golf course and really see what they're all about. So, it's a character game. And I think I love it so much just because it is, it is individual, but then in the end of the day, it's like there's so much to learn. You think you have it, and then the next day is like, well, I got to learn this, I got to learn this, and then you get older and you just throw something else in the mix. So, yeah, I'm with you. I feel very fortunate to have been introduced to the sport.
Annika, this is my final question, and it may be kind of a tough one, but as you reflect on your career, what would you tell that little girl, Annika Sorenstam? If you could change something, or maybe you don't change anything, what would you tell that little girl?
Well, I'm glad you saved the hardest for last. It's something, I think about here and there is, as you get older, you learn or you mature and you see things from a different perspective. And growing up, and I would say still to this day, I'm quite shy, and, I really, I just kind of focused on my game. I really didn't make a lot of noise as far as just, personality growing up. And, but I think that, looking back is, I should have maybe, smelt the roses a little bit. And what I mean by that is I was extremely focused and disciplined that I just kept going. It was like a bullet train. It went so fast, my career, that I never really had a chance to, maybe reflect and appreciate, because I worked so hard, and it's, I would win a tournament on Sunday, and then maybe Sunday night or Monday morning, it was like, okay, we're getting on a plane to so-and-so, and then you start over, and it's, all that didn't really soak in. And so I guess in a way, if there was an opportunity to have done both, I'm not talking about just, massive parties and celebration, but, a little bit, because you work so hard and you can't really enjoy the fruit that that you planted. So, I think of that now a little bit more, appreciate life and not take it for granted. And, but I think, again, saying that, those are things I think you learn along the way. Those are things you learn when you mature. And I think especially having children, you just realize that. So, I think it's hard to just take all those lessons and put it in a, 20-year-old and say, hey, do it.
Oh my gosh. I'm a 64-year-old and I still can't get my hands around some of those things. Annika, my last question is, Danny and I are just huge lovers of the game. We push the game, and I really believe there's a big area for improvement in us getting more women involved. You touched about it earlier about some of the C-suite women and their former athletes, but with our numbers increasing, we've got to do a better job of getting more women out playing, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's still room for growth. I mean, it really is. And I mean, I don't know exactly the number for women, but I do know because the juniors, when we started 18 years ago, the number of junior girls, the percentage of junior girls in America was 17% of our juniors. That's quite a small number. Here we are almost 20 years later, and that's been doubled. I think it's at 35, maybe 36% today. And so all the initiatives out there, I mean, it's working. It's getting girls into the sport. And I think what's the hard thing is, there are a few barriers. One, it takes a lot of time, right, to go out there and play 18 holes. I think we can work around that. You don't have to play 18. There are ways to, speed it up, whether it's team or scramble or 9 holes. And I mean, there's a lot of different ways there. I think accessibility there. I think it's also an intimidating sport in a lot of ways. We got to find ways to make it, not feel so that it's so hard. I mean, that, you play in pro-ams, and I'd be curious how many women you had playing. There are not many.
No.
A lot of companies, they sponsor a tournament and then invite people, and a lot of women just, they don't play, but even if they play, they feel like, well, I don't hit it. I don't hit it as far as you, or I'm not good enough. And then so they get intimidated, and they feel like it's going to reflect on maybe their business career, which it certainly doesn't, but it's such a great way to network and meet people and build relations. So women, to get the courage to go out there. And the few things that we have seen work is when other women invite other women. So they have like a little crutch, if you know what I mean, feeling more comfortable. And I think that's another thing that, when you do that, it's helping. But I agree with you. There should be more ways, and maybe not focus so much on just the sport. Maybe there's more social to it. I mean, women tend to want to do other things as well. And there are initiatives out there, but it takes time. And but you're right, talk about it more. And I think it's been a constant battle, but things are changing, but I think it can get better for sure.
Annika, what's the best way for people to get involved in your foundation?
Well, I would love for them to get involved. I mean, there are different ways. I mean, everybody thinks, when it's a foundation, they think it's writing a check. I mean, of course, we welcome that, but there's so many other things, talk about it, get engaged, connect us, but, just AnnikaFoundation.org. That's the easiest way to do it. And then there you can contact us either by phone or by email, or subscribe to our newsletter. You get some information, what we do. And, yeah, I mean, we want it to be fun. We want it to be rewarding, and the relationships that we build. I mean, we want them to be sustainable. It's not just kind of come and go. And we started this alumni program where we keep in touch with all these young ladies, and it's fun to see them. I think maybe Jay, you said that earlier. It's like, how they are successful outside. Now they're coming back and they want to help. And, that to me is we're building the family. So we welcome people to be part of us.
That's outstanding. We can't say thank you enough for joining us, and just great insight into the game and all the great things that you're doing in and out of the game. And thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Absolutely. My pleasure. I appreciate it.
That's Annika Sorenstam.
Keep doing your thing. Yeah. We love watching.
Absolutely. One of the all-time greats.
You too.
One of the all-time greats, Annika Sorenstam on Golf with Jay Delsing.
On the tee from Sweden, Annika Sorenstam.
Hi, this is Annika, and you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Are you tired of watching your golf scores go up every year? Despite new equipment and even a couple lessons, you still fight that slice or your inability to get that ball up and down out of the bunker? Well, get ready to experience better golf with Elevate Golf. At Elevate Golf, we're changing the way golfers practice with our innovative and data-driven approach to learning and, most importantly, improving. We have an array of membership options where you can find the perfect fit for your golf, your lifestyle, and your budget. Whether you start in our full-service gym, the short game area that has real sand bunker, or one of our 7 TrackMan simulator bays, the team at Elevate Golf will do a complete assessment of you and your game, which is crucial because if you don't know where you're starting from, it's nearly impossible to attain a goal or a new level. Call us today at 636-265-0557 or visit us at elevategolf.com. That's ELV, the number 8, golf.com. Contact us today and get ready to play better golf.
This is Paul Lazinger, and you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Do you realize that the Gateway section and the over 350 men and women are here to serve you in any way they can? Whether it's running your member guest, getting the driving range prep for your next practice session, or maybe just you and your girl getting in a quick 9 and then dinner after work. The Gateway PGA professionals are here for you. I bet you didn't realize the Gateway section, one of the 41 sections around this great country, has been rated in the top 3 in many of the most important categories. Your Gateway, or Great Way section, as it's affectionately known, is here for you to help you any way possible. The Gateway section of PGA Golf Professional, here to assist you with all of your golfing needs. You can visit them at gatewaypga.org and make sure you look for some of these other cool programs: PGA Reach, the PGA Junior League, or the award-winning PGA Hope program that helps our veterans. That's the Gateway PGA of America, here for you.
Hi, this is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center. At FGLC here in Kirkwood, we feature a double-decker driving range, 2 large grass tees with Tahoma Bermuda grass. You want to work on your short game? We have a short game area too, which features a 20,000 square foot green, 3 bunkers, and Zoysia surrounds. Also at Family Golf and Learning Center, don't forget about our 9-hole par 3 course, the indoor TrackMan simulators, and our performance center. If you're looking for the best golf instruction, regardless of skill, we can help. Find out more at FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center. We make St. Louis better at golf.
Recently, my nephew called me and said his basement had flooded and all the hardwood, carpet, and flooring had to be replaced. I told him I have the perfect place for you to go. At Jerseyville Flooring and Furniture, this second-generation family-owned business treats everyone just like their family. Jared Capps is continuing his mom and dad's 50-year business tradition where honesty, transparency, and service carry the day. My nephew loved the luxury vinyl product. Jerseyville Flooring and Furniture has the largest selection in the area. Whether you prefer Mohawk and the wide variety of their product lines, I love the Rev Wood product, by the way, or Karastan or Pergo Elements line, Jerseyville Flooring and Furniture will literally have you covered. You have pets? Let Jared tell you about the many sustainable flooring and carpet options that are pet-friendly but also easily maintained to keep your floors looking great every day. And don't forget about their huge selection of Lazy Boy recliners. They are awesome and one of the biggest selections in the Midwest. Call them today at 618-936-0536 and get your free estimate or set up a consultation with one of their experts. You can also go to jerseyvillecarpetandfurniture.net. Proud sponsor of Golf with Jay Delsing.
You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing. Have a question for Jay? Log on to jdelsinggolf.com. Now let's head back to Jay and Dan.
Boy, that was a fun interview with Annika Sorenstam, a chance to visit with one of the all-time greats. Back with you on Golf with Jay Delsing, coming to you from the Car Shield Studios, presented by Daugherty Business Solutions. I'm Dan McLaughlin. That is Jay Delsing. few things to come away from that interview.
Where do we start on peeling this thing, Danny?
Well, I'll start with her foundation, as we were talking to her about that and just the impact that she's making with young girls, whether it's on the golf course or in the game of life. And I'm not sure there's been enough attention paid to her foundation and just the difference that it's making, not only here in the United States, but really worldwide.
Oh, I think you're 100% right. I mean, you start looking at her, Danny, she's her own brand. She's the, Messi, the one-word name that the
Pele, Michael,
LeBron. I just love it. And, I mean, it's just so impressive to just hear how involved she is in all these things, and she's got the foundation. She's got the Annika Tour, which is coming to St. Louis this summer out at Whitmore. So we got to get Bummer on to talk about that, and we'll pump that up a little bit. And always fun to talk a little golf with Bummer. But Danny, this person is, I mean, it's just, she's almost larger than life. She's giving back through this tour. She's giving back through her foundation. She's playing with her son in the PNC. I mean, she's just right there with all of the absolute pillars of the game. And man, she's going strong.
Jay, I can't remember a guest that we've had on, and you talked about it in our first segment to open the show. We've had big names on this show. I can't remember one saying, well, yeah, I think when you're a little kid, you should just focus on golf. You never hear that. No. And she talked about playing multiple sports as well.
I know the parents that are listening to this were probably saying, we just stop, but we're not. Because you have to let it might take some courage by the parents to say, go ahead and play a little lacrosse. Go ahead and play a little basket. Go ahead and play some volleyball. Do something else. I mean, it's so interesting what that does for your primary sport. It just helps so much because, Danny, when we see these kids getting, and because you've got great athletes running around your house, and you watch. And if it's not for you and Libby with your finger on the pulse of this thing, these programs will run your kids straight into the ground.
Absolutely. It's specialized, and it's to me, kids' sports are too specialized. Way too specialized.
I mean, your son, Bubs, is traveling in this game and that game. He's got a soccer game here. He's got 3 games in this day. He's in Michigan for a day. He's 15.
It's a lot.
I know. So folks, but he's also one of the first to go grab a golf club, and go hit some and shoot some hoops and do some other things. And so, I mean, it just helps your son or daughter become much more well-rounded. And when you get the greatest players of all time, and I mean, you talk about Jack Nicklaus and Curtis Strange, Tom Watson, Annika, when they tell you, forget the Delsing and McLaughlin are telling you, but when those guys tell you got to listen.
Dan Politis is waiting outside our studio. He'll also be our guest, a local legend here in town, and he's got DP Golf Indoors. So we're going to get into that with Dan Politis. Now, we also try to go through some of the news and notes that transpired in the week of golf. And I wanted to hit you with this. Bernard Langer is 67 years old, Jay. He shot a 63 this past week. Then you had a 17-year-old Blades Brown. He shoots 64, so two opposite ends of the spectrum, but we're seeing great golf played by older players and some of the young players that are coming up too.
And I think, Danny, this kind of speaks to the game, right? It's the beauty of the game. We've got a female in Annika, who's one of the best players of all time. She's won 96 international events. She's got a foundation. She's got her Annika Tour that's coming to St. Louis, and that's super cool. Then you get Blades Brown, who's just embarking in a brand new career, and we're looking for great things from this young man. And wow, what do we expect? Who the hell knows? You got the PGA Tour going on, and Sepp Straka wins last week, and all these other things. And by the way, Bernard Langer, who's 67 years old, bests his age by 4 strokes and finishes second. And you're like, what? So, I mean, it's just that kind of game, Danny. It's a great game. I still love the societal strength that it brings to our communities by raising money. You have a phenomenal foundation that raised close to $500,000 last year in a one-day event at Norwood Hills. And then you've got these events going on all over the country. We got Annika's events for her. What did she say, Danny? How many events? Gosh, I don't remember, but it was multiple multiple events that she's been doing for multiple years. We've got, obviously, the Farmers is ending today, but we had Palm Springs ending, last Sunday. The older boys are over in Maui and in Hawaii, playing. And so it just keeps going, Danny. And with all these shots being struck, money is being raised for those that need it. And man, that's a big deal.
So it could be also a pretty frustrating game, as we know. And last weekend, a PGA rookie cards a 13 at PGA West's 16th hole. You've been there, you've done it, you've played that hole. You've carded some really high scores on an individual hole. I watched it, Jay, and it was uncomfortable to watch.
Oh, Danny. So I got to tell you a couple of stories. So the 16th hole, back in the day, the PGA West was considered mission impossible. It was so hard. There were bushes lining on each fairway so that if you missed a fairway, you were it was almost like a penalty shot. And the great Speaker of the House, Tip O'Neill, this was when it was called the Bob Hope Chrysler Classic, gets in that bunker on 16, and they're like, well, the Speaker of the House can't get out of the bunker, and the commentator was like, I think it was Johnny Miller, was saying, yeah, it's a very steep bunker, and it's hard to hit your ball up that high and make it, and they said, no, he can't physically get out of the bunker. We got to get the Secret Service down there and help him get out of those steps. Oh, Danny, so something very, very special. Anyway, we used to have, so you're asking, did I ever make a 13 on a par 5? I did not. But we had this thing that if you made the cut and finished last, it was called the SH Cup. Steve Payton had created this thing, and I think we were the only two that ever competed for this. But I'm playing in the Honda Classic, and it's down at TPC at Eagle Trace. And so, Danny, it's the springtime, it's Florida, and it is a wind tunnel. And 2 weeks before, my dear friend Pater had just captured the SH Cup. So he finished DFL and won the cup, and I was there to make sure that he
knew about it.
Yeah, got all he deserved for that wonderful honor. I'm playing lousy, made the cut. I'm on the back nine. We started on the back nine. The tournament's going off on the front nine, and I'm on the back nine. I've got 3 holes left. I'm playing with a fellow named Jim Simons, who is the holder of the SH Cup at this point, but he doesn't know it. I'm very much aware that we're playing lousy, and I need to beat him today so I don't finish dead last. We get to our 16th hole, which is the 7th hole is about a 210-yard par 3 straight into the wind, and I hit this beautiful low 4-iron. It's over the water. There's water front of the green and left of the green, Danny. I'm thinking, just get it over the water, everything. And I hit this beautiful shot. I'm like, okay, cool. I get up there. I'm like, where's my ball? Can't find it. It's plugged in the back lip of the back bunker. And now I'm like, oh, dear, like, what do I do? And I thought I could either just barely get it out of the bunker and have it trickle down there. Well, I hit it too hard. It rolls over, past the pin, over the front of the green, back in the front water. So now I've got to drop on the other side of the water because I can't drop a ball in the bunker because it's going to plug. So I go back to the other side, hit it in the water. Long story short, I make a 10.
So you're ping-ponging back and forth.
Back and forth. Dropping balls, think I might run out of balls. Last one I aimed way right of the green and just tried to, like, come on, man. And I got the SH Cup. And to my good buddy Steve Pate's credit, he was there welcoming me with open arms at my locker going, you just got the cup. Yeah.
All right, I got an interesting question. At least for me it is. I don't know if it is for anybody out listening, but just deal with it. So I in my bag will probably have 24 golf balls. I'm dead serious. You see me sometimes. I'm so bad.
Your bag weighs a ton.
It does.
Yeah.
So you said you almost ran out of golf balls.
Yeah.
The average pro, what are they keeping in their bag during a round?
Probably. It's weird because we pros are weird.
Okay, is that an interesting question?
But I would say,
what?
yeah, no. Well, you wouldn't believe some of the stuff that's in the bag.
That's the other part I was going to go with.
There's a lot of different. There are teas. There's food. There's reading material. There's knives. There's not sharp knives because you know how we are. But Danny, I would say most pros keep a dozen.
Okay.
For me,
that's
I would
actually more than I thought.
I would keep usually 2 sleeves. I'm like, if I run out of 2, if I'm going home.
You're right.
I'm just going to put pack it in. If I lose 6 balls, it's awful.
Yeah.
You know. So now, don't think that I haven't marked one up from a cart path or something and then had to go back and use it because I'm like, that's all I got left. But I would say back in the day, Danny, we used to change balls every 3 or 4 holes because the old lousy golf balls would get out of round. Now, I mean, I'll play one ball almost the entire round. I'll get rid of one if it doesn't want to go in the hole or if it keeps making bogeys or something like that because it's all the ball's fault. But for the most part, you could almost play this ball, multiple rounds in a row. It's so much different.
We were talking about Bernard Langer, who's been dominating at times on PGA Tour Champions events. The first event was last weekend, though, and Ernie Els wins. I don't think, Jay, we talk enough about Ernie Els and just how great he has been in his PGA career, what he's doing now on the quote-unquote senior tour. He's been awesome. He's absolutely awesome. He
comes to St. Louis every year. Love the guy. The Big Easy. What a great golf swing. What rhythm. And, Danny, he's won, 3 majors or 4 majors? I know he's won 2 U.S. Opens. I think he's won 3 major championships. Won a British Open and the Open Championship. And, the guy's just an absolute stud. Danny, when he first came out, it was kind of the middle of my career. And my South African buddies, Nick Price, Trevor Dodds, David Frost had said, wait till this kid, Ernie Els, gets over here. And he's a big kid. He's an unbelievable athlete, one of the best cricket players and rugby players they'd ever seen. And he winds up playing golf. And here we go, back to playing
multiple sports. Yeah.
Right. So, and Ernie was just fantastic. Ernie and his wife, Liesel, have a son that has Down syndrome. And they have done it's autism. I'm sorry, it's autism. And they have done amazing things for that autistic and autism community in honor of their son. It's really, really super cool. Love to get Ernie on the show. We've tried, we've talked, but we'll stay at it. As he gets a little older and slows down, he'll come on, and we'll talk about his foundation and things like that. But what a
amazing
golf swing.
Absolutely. All right, coming up, it's Dan Politis, local legend here in town. He's got DP Golf Indoors, but that's just a little bit of what Dan has meant to the golf community here in St. Louis. So Dan is coming up next, and you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
As you know from hearing Danny and I talk about Marcone for the last 3 years, you know how philanthropic they are. Whether it's their undying support for first responders, the backstoppers, or our wonderful military heroes, Marcone is leading our community in supporting the police, fire, first responders, or the military. From Wreaths Across America to the Marcone First Responders viewing deck at the Stiefel Charity Classic, Marcone is there, making a difference in our community any way they can. That's Marcone, the largest supplier of General Electric parts in North America and proud supporter of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
WXOS HD1 East St. Louis. 101 ESPN is driven by Auto Centers Nissan, home of the lifetime warranty and 30-day return.
Professional golfer, as you watch on TV every Sunday afternoon, never ventures onto the course without his trusted caddy. This was true for me for my entire career. I want you to think of Powers Insurance as your insurance caddy that you never had. Just as my golf caddy helped me to assess risk on the golf course, Powers Insurance can do the same for you in your busy and complicated life. Tim Davis, COO at Powers Insurance, did exactly that for me and saved me over 50% on one of my coverages. A good insurance risk advisor can help you know when to take a chance or when it may be smarter to take a little more club. Give the folks at Powers Insurance a call and get a caddy for all of your insurance needs. Call them at 314-725-1414. That's 314-725-1414. That's Powers Insurance.
For the best in Italian cuisine in St. Louis, look no further than Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield. It's traditional Italian cooking, and their best ingredient, it's their tradition. It's cooking like Paul's grandmother used to make, and like his mother still prepares today. There are no corners cut at Paul Manos. From greeting you at the door to the pasta you'll share with your family, Paul Manos is committed to bringing you their very best anytime you share a meal at their place. It's Paul Manos, located in Chesterfield.
Do you remember the golden rule? I'm sure you do, but just in case, it goes like this. Treat people the way that you'd like to be treated. At People's National Bank, that one statement is the cornerstone of what this bank is all about. Locally owned, with 23 locations in Southern Illinois and the metropolitan St. Louis area, People's National Bank parlays a robust menu of commercial or personal banking services you could possibly need with a friendly yet hardworking Midwestern attitude. Maybe you just want to do business with a bank whose entire team lives in the same neighborhoods as we do. If you're like me and doing business with someone you trust is important to you, then People's National Bank is the bank for you. Jason Rantham, local president, is here for you to call, and he'll answer any questions you may have. His personal cell is 314-974-2243. You can also find us online at peoplesnationalbank.com. People's National Bank is here for all of your banking needs.
Hi, this is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center. You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Golf with Jay Delsing. With Jay, I'm Dan, and we're excited to have Dan Politis, part of DP Golf Indoors, and really running DP Golf Indoors. And Dan, great to see you. Thanks for coming in studio. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Danny Mac. Jay and I have become good friends over the last handful of years, and it's a pleasure to be here talking golf and promoting golf. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to the time spent.
So, gosh, this is so fun. And again, thanks for coming in. But where do we start? We've got such great history together, but St. Clair Country Club is part of this whole thing. Where do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I was privileged to grow up with Jerry Haas. He and I were best of friends, and Kai Goby, Bob's oldest son. So my dad was, part owner of Clinton Hill Golf Course in Belleville. So I part-timed it between Clinton Hill and St. Clair, grew up with Jay and Jerry. Jay's 10 years older than us. It started at Belleville, and then I went to New Mexico Junior College on a golf scholarship and found out at that point I couldn't play professionally. And that's many golf professionals, Danny Mac, as you know, we're trying to aspire to be a Jay Delsing and play tournament golf for the rest of our lives. And I consider that a blessing because at that time, I realized I wasn't good enough. So I wrote the PGA of America back when we wrote letters, and they recommended the only program like it was a PGM program, Professional Golf Management, and in Big Rapids, Michigan at Fair State University. So I went there and graduated. We had a bachelor's degree in marketing and about 80% of our PGA membership credits. Now there's 19 programs like that across the country. So then I figured if I started teaching, I could make a living and support a family. So I started DP Golf on Hartman Lane in O'Fallon in 1989, subsequently moved to a couple different locations due to land value. But it was like Forrest Gump. I just started, as he started running, I started teaching. And now about 50,000 lessons later, here we are. And just, it's really been, it's been a love, and I love teaching. I like watching people improve.
Well, you're also a golf star in terms of radio and TV, and you and I had a show together, and it unfortunately was canceled. I think that was my fault.
Probably my fault.
Sorry, Dan.
It was the Dans on TV,
right? Man. Yeah. So I've admired your career, Danny Mac, and you've promoted sports in and around St. Louis, and I think the world of you. And there's just a lot of good people involved in sports in St. Louis, and you two are part of it.
So how do you have patience for 50,000 lessons? I'm serious. How do you have patience for that?
It takes a special heart. Sorry to interrupt you, but it takes a special heart because, someone comes in and, you can say, ma'am or sir, try to do this. And they don't know the left from the right or the front end of the club to the back, and it's not easy.
It's not. In 1996, I wrote a book called Golf for Rookies because I had so many people coming to me saying, how do you do this, and why do we have all these clubs in the bag, and how do you keep score, and I'm going to play my first round Saturday at the public golf course. No, that's prime time. So I dummied it down to where, and you have to learn to do that. Like, you're used to, this is how you hold the club. Well, the person just starting the game doesn't know that. So I kind of reversed it into dumbing it down. I don't mean to say dummy, but you start from the basics, and you understand that they're there to improve. And if you go to the dentist, you hope that you leave the office with better teeth, right? Yeah. And so it's my job. So I never get frustrated because I respect the game, that it's difficult. It's really difficult. And people do well with a game plan. I've never said you're going to get worse before you get better. We just take it step by step by step. And I coach them in the fact that it's not an easy game, and it's a game that's going to take some practice. And once they come to you for lessons, you own their golf game. And if they don't improve or take your game plan, it's your fault.
So it's interesting because you use the word coaching in there, and I think we need to so there's a difference between, okay, I'm going to go in here for some instruction, and you're going to say, okay, let's just say the grip. We're going to start with the grip or somewhere in the fundamentals. But when you talk about coaching, let's touch on base on that a little bit, DP, because that's more encompassing. That's saying we need to think a certain way. We need to act a certain way. We were just talking to Barrick Jetman not long ago, and he mentioned how difficult it was to learn how to be a professional, which you and I have, and Danny, we've all had to learn how to do. But when you say you're coaching someone, it just takes on extra elements, doesn't it?
Yeah, you've got the X's and O's and fundamentals. That's teaching. And then coaching is encompassing with your personal lifestyle and course management and habits and practice. And it's really fun to, if I can get to establish rapport with you and get to know you and get to know some things about you. So I do a lot of top threes, or Danny Mac, give me 3 characteristics of you that I've never met. And it's tough for these kids to say, well, if they may not know what a characteristic is, okay, give me some traits, okay? And then they have to really because they've never talked about that. They never thought about that. And the parents in the background, they can chime in, but the more I can get to know you and get involved with you, the better off I can coach. Establishing rapport is a big thing.
Dan Politis is our guest. You mentioned basics earlier, so I'm curious, somebody comes to you, how do you get them going? What's the first thing? I mean, you talked about relationship-wise. That's something that you have to build up. But let's talk about the actual golf club in your hand, as Jay mentioned, grip, whatever. How do you start somebody in the game of golf?
I have them fill out a lesson tee sheet with just the basic information, similar to going to the doctor's office, skipping the insurance. and I usually start them with a 7-iron, get their history, get where they're at presently, get their goals. Got to know where you want to go. Some want to play recreationally, some want to try to play college golf. And then it's my job to start. I usually start with a 7-iron because it's a good distance read club, and then just progress. And I'll take them. We may go through a couple clubs that lesson. We may stick with a 7-iron for a couple lessons. It just depends on their progress. But people do get better all the time. I hardly ever have a lesson, and I don't mean to be bragging, that they don't improve.
Makes sense to me. I mean,
people have talent.
Hey, working with you before, Jay, this guy's a great teacher.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And I loved how you would dumb it down, as you mentioned. And that was one of the things that we did on the show, was trying to visualize it over the radio or on TV. Yep. You could show it, but dumb it down.
And didn't Muhammad Ali say it's not bragging if you could do it?
That's right.
Bragging. We're just talking about facts, man.
That's right.
But it's interesting because if someone were to meet you, they're going to understand you're going to be invested in this thing. And that comes, hopefully that's coming across in this interview, but just sitting with you, there's a difference. There's people that care, and then there's this next level of investment. And you have that next level investment, but you are also sitting with 2 other fellows. we just love this game. We're nerds, we're geeks, we're lovers of it, we're haters of it. We have all these different things tied into it, and that matters.
It's a great sport, and it's, whether a sport can you play with your grandfather or grandma or your uncles, and you can. I've given 92-year-old people golf lessons. Isn't that great that they can come out and they want to improve at 92 years old?
Right.
And naturally they want more distance. And God love them. Let's try and get some more distance. It's a great game.
It is the key, though, and Jay and I talk about this, and we've had some big names. Curtis Strange has been on the show. Andy North has been on the show. Every single one of them. I asked them, what would you tell your younger self? And they'd say, I would spend 90% around the green and working on my short game. And I'm sure as people get advanced, that's what you're telling them too.
Exactly. It's, between pitching, chipping, and putting, we've got, Jay, 65 to 75% of the game. Yep. Quite honestly, sometimes it's boring, so you got to invent some competitiveness, some games, some goals, and make it fun. Everybody wants to hit their driver. Fortunately, I love working with drivers. But if they want to improve, like you said, Danny Mac, it's in the pitching, chipping, and putting. I want to hear the player that comes off the high school. I coached the Althoff golf team in Belleville 27 years later. I want to hear that player come off and tell me how well he putted and that he had 30 putts in a 9-hole match.
People used to say to me, you make everything. And I used to say, yeah, trying to make every one of them. And like this was like they were trying to cut you down, but like, oh, because you hit it so bad. And I'm like, hey, whatever. Yep. It's like what I love about the whole competitive nature of all of this is that it's about your number, and yeah, I hit the ball great, but I didn't make any putts. What'd you shoot? And that's the barometer that we're all, that we're all kind of chasing.
Well, I'll brag on Mr. Delsing. He was one of the best players in St. Louis, goes to UCLA, has made a career out of playing professional golf, less than probably 0.5%, and can flat out play. And he can do it publicly. He can do it in front of crowds. That's extremely admirable. And I know how good you are. And I got to tell you this, and I thought about.
Keep going.
You're gonna like this story. So, and I've shared this with a couple of my teaching professionals, and I thought about Jay because he'll like the story, I think. So I usually do this with my younger players, and I'll start off by saying, okay, Johnny, you're going to Disney World. And you're going with your entire family. You've got your aunts, uncles, grandparents. You're going to go to Disney for a week, and you are fired up, excited. And you get on the plane, and you're at 30,000 feet. You got 268 passengers on board, and bad weather moves in. It's tumultuous. It's lightning. It's turbulent. And the assistant pilot goes to the chief. You got this? And the chief goes, no. I can't fly this aircraft. 268 people on board. I can't fly this aircraft. Or do you want that pilot, number 2 pilot, that says, what'd you just say? Did you ask if I've got this? I could land this thing in my sleep. I could do this blindfold. Did you just ask me if I could land this plane? I said, which pilot do you want? The first one or the second one?
Yeah.
Well, naturally, they choose the second one. But, Jay, how many golfers are going to the first tee is pilot number 1 saying, I don't have it today?
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh.
Including tour players.
Oh, I try to tell people, Dan, and I've told Danny Mac this probably ad nauseum because he probably started hearing it, but the longest walk in golf is from the putting green to the first tee because things happen that I have had days where I have warmed up and it has been a stripe show and never missed a shot and get on the golf course and can't find my rear end with either hand. And then I've also gone out there and I've had my buddy Pearlie on the bag with me before where I am literally shanking balls. My fades are only hooking 15 yards and my draws are headed out to the right and get up there and all of a sudden they announce your name and you've got all this anxiety and it goes right down the middle and it's one of your best rounds of the year. It doesn't make any sense, but there is that question when you get on that first tee, like, what in the hell is going to happen
today?
Which
pilot do you want? And in compliments to Danny Mac, how many times has he done a broadcast with literally millions of people listening or viewing? Millions. Has Danny Mac ever said, when the mic goes hot,
I don't know what to do.
I don't know what to do. I don't have it. You can't, right?
Oh, no, plenty of times. I'm with you.
But don't you agree that you can't go to the first tee as pilot number one yet? Many of them do.
Yeah.
You got to have guts.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. You got to have some guts and put yourself out there in many walks of life, whether it's broadcasting or playing golf. And I would assume playing golf is much tougher, but you got to have some guts, and you got to have guts in this game. I'm assuming that you agree with that.
Absolutely. And, having a bad round or a bad broadcast sometimes makes you better. You get a little tougher.
Right.
If you give that lesson, it's like, man, I didn't like the way that the outcome came. And it's hopefully a time to change that before it ends. But, yeah, it gets you. And a better example is when a person has a tough session, I'm like, you watch. Next time you're back, you're going to saddle that horse, and it's going to be better. And most of the time it is.
Yeah, well, so this is such a cool conversation because as you learn, and we're talking about learning and stuff, as you're able to temper the anxiety. And Danny, you could relate to this with when maybe you've got a home run call in mind for someone. Your Pujols calls were just ridiculous.
I actually never did.
But
unscripted, Jay.
Yeah, I believe that, and I've asked you that 1,000 times. But what I mean is, sometimes I don't know. Maybe you haven't ever done this, but you kind of might have second guessed it and said, "Darn it, I wish I would have said," But
every single one.
Yeah. But then, as a player, and you're walking, to that tee, and you've got these thoughts racing through your head, there's a way to calm those down and say, "We're gonna be fine here." I still don't know what's going to actually happen today, but you try to embrace that a little bit, right? And part of the unknowingness of golf is part of the allure. I mean, because even the great Tiger Woods, the great Jack Nicklaus, they don't own the game forever. They rent it longer than most of us, but they still have had their days where they're like, whew,
well, it's just so much fun to see. I've got a retired orthodontist that I'm working with, and he won a state championship with Jay Haas's team. 72 years old, really good player because he learned young. And now he's enamored with getting clubhead speed back, and obviously so. He said, Dan, I'd love to get it back over 80 miles an hour. So we start working in little bits, not a lot, little bits and pieces. The last session I had with him right before Christmas, he walked out with clubhead speed of 94 miles an hour because I taped it up. And it was like 260. And he literally floated out of the room. And all I do, I didn't hit one of those shots. I just coach. But he got it, and he got the positive back. He got the confidence back. He lightened up. He relaxed. He was pilot number 2, right? And he had it. Now he knows that he can get it over 80. He got to 94 miles an hour. That's incredible.
It's so interesting when you say that because there's so much that lends itself to the good once you start a little momentum. You know what I mean? And Danny and I, we talk about this all the time. It's like, how I'm like, you got to relax. So how do you want me to relax? I'm so damn nervous. I'm white knuckling the grip on my driver, and that doesn't help you swing any better. That'll kill distance and lose control. I mean, it does all of the natural tendencies that come to you as a human destroy, really good golf. That's what makes it so hard.
If I had magical dust to sprinkle on people, which I don't, it would be light grip pressure and a slow backswing. Give me a light grip pressure and a slow backswing. We can do some things. If that tempo's too fast, so I use the comparison, okay, Danny Mack, I'm your driver's ed instructor. I'm teaching you how to drive, and we're in the subdivision, and you're hitting mailboxes. Okay, so the speed is good when we get to the interstate. Unfortunately, we're in the subdivision, and you're clipping mailboxes. And then they go, oh, okay, I get it now. Yeah, I got to slow it down, don't I? Yeah, we'll speed it up when we get to the interstate. And it's not that people don't get it, but for them to say light grip pressure, and they hear it, and they know it, but to do it, it's tough.
Dan Politis is our guest, DP Golf Indoors. Should be a lot of fun to find out more about that. You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
The game of golf is booming in popularity. All of our measurables are at or near all-time record levels. Remember this name for any and all of your golf needs. It's Pro-Am Golf. You need lessons? Tom DeGrand continues to provide our area with top-level instructions. his 40-plus years of experience matter. What about a golf gift for that someone special in your life? Maybe it's shoes, clothing, or golf's latest tech. Yes, sir, Pro-Am Golf has you covered. This family-owned and operated business has been serving our community for the last 45-plus years. You can visit Pro-Am Golf at proamgolfusa.com or do like I do. Go over to the Brentwood location and meet the DeGrands yourself. You won't be disappointed. Pro-Am Golf for all your golf needs, or check out proamgolfusa.com.
This is Gary Christian, author of the book Beat the Course, Not Yourself. And you are listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
This is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center located in Kirkwood. Our motto is play your best golf. We have the best instruction for every skill level. 2 female instructors along with our 8 PGA instructors. We're there for the kids and the adults who are starting to play and trying to refine their game. Family Golf and Learning Center features a double-decker driving range, grass tees, and a short game area, along with indoor simulators and a performance center. That's not all. Don't forget about our back 9 bar and grill. Find out how we can help you and your family. Head to familygolfonline.com. That's familygolfonline.com. It's Family Golf and Learning Center, where we make St. Louis better at golf.
Hey, this is Jay Delsing for SSM Health Physical Therapy. Our golf program has the same screening techniques and technology as the pros on the PGA Tour use. SSM Health Physical Therapy has the Titleist Performance Institute trained physical therapists that can perform the TPI screening on you, as well as use the K-Vest 3D motion capture system. Proper posture, alignment, etc. can help you keep your game right down the middle. We have 80 locations in the St. Louis area. Call 800-518-1626 or visit them on the web at ssmphysicaltherapy.com. Your therapy, our passion. Hey folks, we just opened the Jay Delsing Golf Shop. If you need anything golf related, you need a hoodie, you need a visor, you need a quarter zip. My daughter Gemma has spearheaded this effort, and I so appreciate all of her help. But we are live, and we are ready to get you into some golf gear. Folks, know this. With every single purchase, I will be donating either to the Western Golf Association in support of the Evans Scholarship Program or to Folds of Honor and the great Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney. So everything that you buy from me, we're going to make a donation to those great causes. Thanks for checking it out. It's jdelsinggolfshop.com.
This is Golf with Jay Delsing, rated as the #1 golf show in the Midwest. Now let's get back to Jay and Dan.
We're having a great conversation. We took a break, and now it's segment 2 with Dan Politis, DP Golf Indoors, Jay Delsing, Dan McLaughlin with you. And Dan, I want to know, what is DP Golf Indoors? What are you doing for the golf fan out there?
We started year number 3, September 15th. I was an outdoor driving range guy for 33 years, a couple different locations in and around Belleville and O'Fallon. Opened the indoor place. We had 3 simulators, a putting green, the Golby Haas room.
That's cool.
Gotta have a Golby Haas room over.
It's really cool. Patty's parlor, a full-service bar. I have golf bags displayed from my friends up above one of the simulators. Tom Wargo, Jim Hochreeve, and Jay Delsing.
Do you remember that, Jay? Giving Dan that bag?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
did you sign it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's got my name right on it. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Well, I know the name is on it, but did you sign it?
Number 24 after his dad's
That's
logo
right.
with Norwood Hills.
That's awesome.
Proudly displayed.
That's great.
And, so it's we're open 7 days a week. It's a social place. We do high-intensity training that I just told Jay about over the holidays. Zach Conlon with L8 Golf is really consulting me on trying to get business through the seriousness of, so we're changing our business model to a large degree to do memberships for those that really want to get better. I do like the social aspect of guys coming there to recreate and socialize and have fun. So we're going to try and hybrid it best we can.
That's what I think about when I think of you, though. You have a extremely welcoming disposition, and you have all this knowledge. I mean, so why wouldn't you? Let's have a lesson, and then let's have a drink afterwards, or let's have a sandwich, and spend more time there. And that's what is so special about this.
Well,
game.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. It means a lot coming from you. If people can come and have fun, Lord knows what we just saw in New Orleans. There's a lot of stress out there, and if I can add some lightheartedness, some camaraderie, and we're doing it. I mean, we're having a lot of fun at DP Golf Indoor, and we welcome kids, we welcome seniors, we welcome dogs. Just come on in and have fun.
Do you have sim leagues too? I'm assuming
we do. We have simulator leagues. We have lesson packages. And it's just like anything. You can make it as serious as you want. A Jay Delsing can come and really intensify his practice, and then the novice player can come there and have a couple high noons and just have fun with their next door neighbor.
Dan, what do you think about the state of the game right now? Coming off of COVID, obviously, generated a lot of buzz. But just in general, what do you think of the state of the game?
I think COVID was a blessing for the game of golf, as we all know. The PGA of America that we just talked about before going on air are doing great things nationally. Nathan Carnes is our vice president nationally out of Wing Haven. We've got great leadership. We got Allie Wells at the Gateway section, which we kiddingly say the Greatway section. The state of golf, and we are the PGA of America, is fabulous. We have to get this live golf realigned, and I listen to the show regularly, and your talks about live golf, and Jay knows most of the major players. We've got to get that realigned, don't we?
Oh boy, we do. It's one of those things. I just don't see how this thing comes back. How we can get these guys playing together again, because John Rahm took X amount of money and Rory McIlroy said no. So how does that work out? It's actually a mess. But when you think of the other aspects of the game, Dan, did you ever think, when you think about some of the cool changes that have happened, and through, I say to Danny all the time, we talk golf all the time. We have lunch. He came over to the house yesterday. We talked golf. We talked whatever. But the Tiger Woods effect is such an all-encompassing thing. So these sim leagues, Pop Stroke, Putt Shack, Top Golf, all of these additional avenues to get people to learn about golf, they're working. I mean, our country clubs are full, our munis are full, our driving ranges are full, and people are taken to this game like never before.
There's better instruction, better training, better physical, rehab. Top Golf's been a blessing. It's just been and it's such a great game. It doesn't discriminate. You don't have to grow up at a high level country club. You can play a 9-hole muni in Cleveland, Ohio, and turn out just as good as the country clubber. So there's so many great things, and I think we as PGA members just have to keep it going. And COVID was a blessing in terms of golf influx. Now we got to make sure we retain them.
I think one of the things that we do a poor job of on the show, I really believe this, and when I say on the show, I mean generally speaking also in the area, we don't give Ozzie enough credit for what he's done. Ozzie has done a ton, and Dan, I'm sure you see it firsthand what Ozzie has done to the game of golf. And it's not a shot at us, Jay. I just wish we talked more about him and what because he's it's Ozzie Smith. It's baseball. That's what you think of when you think Ozzie, and one of the great ambassadors of the game, and obviously the Cardinals. But man, has he made a difference with golf in the area.
I tell you, I was fortunate to win the 2020 Professional of the Year and Teacher of the Year, and poor Ozzie had to sit through my acceptance speech and awards dinner. And when we asked him, Josh Riley asked him, God, Jay, it's been, 15 years ago he joined the PGA Reach presidency. He said, and I know Danny Mack, you know him very well. He said, I'm not just going to be a name, I'm going to be involved. And he is involved. He's at these fundraisers, and he's at this PGA Hope, and he's with the juniors and
the gala that he does. The thing, Dan, we got so fortunate to have him love the game and have the heart that he has for the community and for the sport, and using this awareness that everybody has about him as
his platform,
probably the greatest shortstop of all time.
And not only is he a Hall of Famer, what he's done after his career may supersede what he did on the field in terms of fundraising and promotional capabilities. And as we bury President Carter, if you read about his past office service, that gentleman has authored over 30 books. He's a painter. He builds homes, or did build homes. He is a tremendously nice human being.
The Habitat for Humanity is one of the things that he started. Yeah, amazing guy. Lived 100 years old too. It's really incredible.
Dan Politis is our guest. Dan, what are you most proud of? I mean, 50,000 lessons, starting what you're doing over there with the indoor facility. As you reflect on your career, I'm curious about
your
this.
high school coaching. I mean, that's really cool too.
I've been blessed. My Althoff team's won a couple of state championships, and I never thought I'd win a state championship, let alone two, and never thought I'd win a few PGA awards. But I think, Danny Mac, that's a great question. I think really helping people, because we really shouldn't be doing it to win state championships, although that's the goal. You do it, and Jay's done it forever. When you hear a story about Jay Delsing, it's that he showed up, and the PGA veterans loved him during the Ascension Classic. So to answer your question, I think if I helped out anybody play this game and enjoy this game, and then you forget that, that 16-year-old that ran away from home, the first person they called was his golf instructor. And it's like, wow, am I carrying that kind of weight in somebody's life? And you just meet, like school teachers, you just meet a lot of great people, and you're blessed. I say this a lot. You never know who's going to walk through that door. It could be an Orlando Pace, who I work with, or it could be a Whitey Herzog, who I taught back in the day. And then people will say, I think that was Orlando Pace that just left the parking lot.
He's pretty unmistakable when Big O walks in the room.
One of us would say, yeah, that was Orlando. He just came for a lesson. Then they look at you, well, why is he coming over to see you? I'm thinking, well, maybe there's a compliment somewhere in there. Anyway.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Great guy, too, Orlando.
Well, one of the other things, Dan, you're involved in the community, not only through golf, but you've done your share of being on some different committees, some political appointments and things like that. So you're the community and how important it is to give back does not get missed by you.
Well, I was a part-time politician on various boards, school board at BAC, now SWIC, St. Clair County Public Building Commissioner. I was an alderman in O'Fallon. But, just try and give back. And you see those people that, they say, if you want to get something done, ask a busy person. I volunteer a lot, and I donate a lot and give back. But that's what it's all about.
Dan, how do you coach kids? So high school kids, it's tough to be a kid these days, and it's really tough to be a good golfer, and you've won a couple of state titles. How do you coach those kids?
Well, and what we do, I'll tell you this, there's some X's and O's, and having my background, hopefully there's a respect level so the parents aren't wondering, who's this guy coaching my son or daughter. I coach the boys. But I will tell you one thing we do, we have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun, and we'll be in the Suburban driving to a tournament, and I'll play country music, and we'll sing, and I may do some goofy things, and they'll look at me, and it's establishing rapport. So now they like this guy that's singing, Kenny Chesney on the radio at the top of his lungs, and they're thinking, this is fun. Golf to a lot of people, Jay Delsing, is not fun.
No.
It's not fun. So they come to Althoff, and we have a lot of fun. The byproduct is we play pretty good.
Well, I think one of my biggest takeaways from your success is the rapport. So you're showing people that you're investing in what they're doing and that you give a damn. And that is everything. I mean, that makes a difference. You want to talk about getting a young person's attention, and you and I are older fellas, and we're going to get some of these young kids like, I don't really want to be around this guy. And then you show them how to have fun, or show them something that they're not either prepared to hear or see or think about, and give them a different option. It makes a difference. It's interesting because I'll deliberately say something to a younger person just to see if they're listening, and they'll like, oh, something about that, or, because I try to I have 4 daughters and I have grandkids, and I try to stay with it, or whatever the modern term is now, which obviously it's not that, but it's interesting and how you do that. But Dan, that's part and parcel to the success that you've had.
Well, it is, and every person's unique, and so we have a lot of fun. And I may come up to a 7-year-old and say, you know what, I like Captain Crunch cereal. He'll look at me and he'll say, I like Fruit Loops. And then all of a sudden you get a conversation going. You're having some fun. What I'm doing is getting connected with him.
I love it. Dan, what's the best way to get a hold of you and then to find out more about what you're doing?
dpgolf.com.
Okay, dpgolf.com.
We like keeping it simple around here. dpgolf.com.
Right,
That's
not smart enough
fantastic.
to do anything differently, but it's been a pleasure. I haven't seen Danny Mac in a while, and one of my favorite broadcasters. And you've got some history in the archives with the World Championships. So
yeah, it's been fun.
You've been a great man, my friend.
You too, buddy. Thanks for doing this.
My pleasure. I hope to do it again.
Absolutely.
Got to get you in. Dan Politis, DP Golf Indoors. You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Are you driving an out-of-warranty car? It's only a matter of time before your out-of-warranty vehicle is in the shop costing you thousands of dollars. Auto repair costs are up nearly 20% from last year, which is 4 times the rate of inflation. If an unexpected breakdown happened today, would you be ready for that? Well, now you can be with a plan through CarShield. Even if your car is just over 3 years old, it's still prone to expensive costs. Your car is more than just getting you from point A to point B. Traveling by car is a way of life. From picking up your kids to going to a new restaurant, cars are a daily essential. When you enroll in a car protection plan through CarShield, you can look forward to the following. The price will never go up no matter how many claims you file, or no matter how high the mileage on your car increases. CarShield offers protection plans that start as low as $100 per month. That's $100 per month. They have repair coverage for up to 5,000 different parts of your vehicle. Plus, when your car breaks down and you're stuck on the side of the road, you get 24/7 coast-to-coast roadside assistance. You also get complimentary towing and rental car options. CarShield has my back when my car breaks down, and they can have yours too. Call CarShield today at 800-465-6550 or visit carshield.com. It's CarShield, proud sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
This is Dan Politis, PGA golf professional, and you are listening to Golf with Jay Delsing and Danny Mac. I listen every week.
Daugherty Business Solutions has been enhancing the business of our customers for the last 37 years. How do we do it? Through our expertise in technology, better use of data and analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. We roll up our sleeves and collaborate. We build applications and effectively communicate with our partner clients to bring their goals and objectives to the finish line. Our award-winning Access Point program is a community game changer. With nearly 100 students in the program, mostly young African-American females are making between $55,000 and $60,000 per year right out of high school. That's right, $55,000 to $60,000 a year right after high school graduation. That's when they begin their training. CEO Ron Daugherty believes the talent is equally distributed, but access to that opportunity is not. So here's Access Point, providing more and more opportunity for those in and around our community. It's Daugherty Business Solutions.
This is Barrett Jackman of the Blues. You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Family Golf and Learning Center. No matter your age or skill level, Family Golf and Learning Center, located in Kirkwood, has something for you. They've got it all. PGA and LPGA instruction, double-decker driving range, par 3 golf course, TrackMan simulators, a large short game green designed to help you with all your shots around the green, bunkers, rough, and Zoysia fairway pitching. And now open, the Tahoma Bermuda grass tees, the best turf to hit from in St. Louis. It's all at Family Golf and Learning Center. To schedule a lesson or to find out more, visit FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center. We make St. Louis better at golf.
Do you remember the golden rule? I'm sure you do, but just in case, it goes like this. Treat people the way that you'd like to be treated. At People's National Bank, that one statement is the cornerstone of what this bank is all about. Locally owned, with 23 locations in Southern Illinois and the metropolitan St. Louis area, People's National Bank parlays a robust menu of commercial or personal banking services you could possibly need with a friendly yet hardworking Midwestern attitude. Maybe you just want to do business with a bank whose entire team lives in the same neighborhoods as we do. If you're like me and doing business with someone you trust is important to you, then People's National Bank is the bank for you. Jason Rantham, local president, is here for you to call, and he'll answer any questions you may have. His personal cell is 314-974-2243. You can also find us online at peoplesnationalbank.com. People's National Bank is here for all of your banking needs.
This is Golf with Jay Delsing, rated as the #1 golf show in the Midwest. Now let's get back to Jay and Dan.
Heading down the stretch on Golf with Jay Delsing. With Jay, I'm Dan. I'll tell you what, we've had a great show. Annika Sorenstam, one of the all-time greats ever in the game of golf, but also, to me, one of the great people that we have here locally is Dan Politis, and it was a lot of fun to visit with him here in studio.
Yeah, and I'm sitting with the two Dans. I mean, how does it get any better than that? But, there's something when you're hanging around a guy that just feels right. You know what I mean?
He's that
guy. He is that guy. He's got a smile on his face. He's, just grateful.
He's one of the good people in sports around here.
He is. He's a wonderful storyteller.
Absolutely.
He's a wonderful storyteller. So, I mean, you gotta try to, one of the things that we're committed to doing for our show this year is to exposing, for lack of a better word, some of these local legends that we have, some of these great people.
Highlighting them.
Yeah, and highlighting them and making sure people in the community understand, hey, man, right around the corner, go over and see this guy. Talk to him a little bit. You will not be sorry. I know we've got our good buddy Ed Schwent coming up on the show in a couple of weeks as well, and so that'll be fun. But we're going to do a much better job of highlighting some of the local folks this year.
All right, so some news and notes to go around in the game of golf, which we try to get to as many as we can. So again, our thanks to Dan Politis. But I wanted to ask you about this. The Golf Channel turned 30 this past week. When you heard the Golf Channel was coming out as a player on the PGA Tour, at least when I see like NFL Network for 52 weeks out of the year, and I see MLB Network doing the same thing, and I'm like, man, they got a long off season. How are they going to do this? I always have wondered about the Golf Channel. Now, the season is very, very long with the PGA Tour, and there's different things that you can go overseas and look at things that are happening over in Europe and Australia and all these different places to cover golf. But I never imagined the Golf Channel being around for 30 years. It's amazing.
No way, Danny. I can remember when it first came out, and there's two main reasons, in my opinion, on why this thing has done so well. First of all, Arnold Palmer. Arnold Palmer was the driving force behind the Golf Channel. He's also a lot of the money behind the Golf Channel when it started.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And we were like, holy cow, we're going to have 24 hours of golf. And I'm a nerd and in the weeds, and I love it all, but I'm thinking, how is this going to happen? And then Tiger came out, and then forget about it.
Everything changed.
And it's interesting, though. You have two of the legends of the game that they didn't really collaborate together, but they kind of separately came in together and had made this whole thing work. And it's extremely interesting because one of the things that Golf Channel did, I don't know if people know this or not, but they closed all their Orlando studios several years ago and moved everything up to Connecticut, which is odd when you think about golf. And one of the other things is, that they've done is they've brought in DP World Tour. You're getting golf from all over the different sides of the planet, which I think really makes it fun and kind of interesting.
You mentioned the name of Tiger. Kevin Kisner's ball speed on the TGL, okay, with his driver was 159. Virtually the same was Tiger Woods, except he was 156, Jay, with a 3-wood. Wow. That's amazing, isn't it?
That is amazing. And, the TGL, wow, that was a beatdown of all beatdowns. And to see those guys play, and we mentioned this last week, but we probably need to do it again, Danny. The hardest part for certain people on these sim leagues is that you don't get to use your depth perception to help you try to figure out how to hit shots. And so you're watching these great players hit these awful wedge shots. I mean, now Kisner sculling out of the bunker, that's different. I don't know what happened. I have never seen it on before. The forehead, and I was like, wow, hit that ball right in the forehead, Danny, and that thing, he could have killed somebody.
Yes.
And the other players' reactions were just priceless.
Yep.
Just loved it. But you start thinking about, you're hitting into a screen, and distance will come up, and you're like, okay, it's 270 yards to carry the water, which might not, mean much to you. But when you're not able to see it, it's just different. And I practiced a lot on a sim before, Danny, and the indoor, and I just don't, it's just not the same. That it just isn't the same. And I'm not explaining it particularly well, but it's difficult, especially for a more feel type player like who Tiger was at one point in time. It's harder for them.
So we have NFL today, AFC, NFC championships, but I want to go back to just a week ago. So it took, one more hour for the NFL to conduct 2 playoff games than it took for 3 golfers, to complete 18 holes at the American Express last weekend. I know you've thought about it. We talk about it a lot on the show, but something has got to change, Jay, with the speed of the game to speed this thing up, and it'd be better for television, probably better for the golfers, more of a rhythm, and for those that are the patrons at the event to see more guys hitting shots in a timely manner. But something has got to change with this.
You got to, Danny. It's terrible. When you think about what the NFL is a cash creating beast. They figure it out, and no one ever thought we'd go to more games, and we got 17 games, and they want to go to 18 games, and they put their business model together, and the players adapt, and that is hard because of the injuries and the attrition. But for golf, man, come on, Danny, what they did in Major League Baseball with the pitching clock, I thought was. When it first came out, I looked at you and I'm like, Danny, what are we doing?
I thought it was the best thing they were going to do. I really did. I thought it was going to be awesome. I did.
Okay.
Because I watched certain guys when they were pitching and walking around the mound, and I thought, this is just not good for the game. Guys spitting sunflower seeds, walking around, kicking at the dirt.
Scratching, spitting, right.
So I just thought it was a good thing, and I thought the players would adjust. And that was the number one thing that I thought, is that players will adjust. And the other thing they had was that this had been implemented in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
So they were used to it. Now, maybe something that golf needs to look at is looking at a putting clock and starting to implement it, let's say on the Korn Ferry or at college golf. Now, those stops seem to play at a pace that's much better than the PGA Tour, but when they graduate to the PGA Tour, these players will be used to it. And I always believe this, Jay, they're the best in the world. What you did and do, you're the best in the world at what you do. At one point ranked 51st in the world. You would have made the adjustment, and players will adjust as they go forward.
100%, Danny. That's just, if that is the rule, then that's the rule. And I mean, how weird would it be to see somebody standing over a putt so long that they get a stroke penalty because they didn't get their I mean, these guys would alter their pre-shot routine so much so, and it would move the game along better. I mean, you are going to have weird stuff happen in golf, like this young man that made his 13. Awful. I mean, there's no way to make that faster, D. when you can't do it, you can't do it. You're chipping back and forth. You're climbing in and out of the bunker. You're raking the bunker. So those things happen, but not that often. And we are talking about an exception rather than the rule, and I totally agree with you. And it needs to happen. It needs to happen sooner than later.
Don't you think players, when they make the adjustment, would find that the rhythm of the round would be better for them?
Oh, yeah.
Just from a strategic point of view?
I do. And, Danny, when you start thinking about the PGA Tour and Jacksonville, our headquarters down there, and what we're keeping our eye on, what are we keeping our eye on? I mean, come on, man. People are telling us look at our ratings. They're just dropping and dropping. We've got a guy named Scotty Scheffler who's playing some of the best golf that we've ever seen, and our ratings are tanking, and it's also, this live controversy, the money, it's all dragging the sport down, but we're cutting and shrinking our tour and not allowing, more players from the Korn Ferry to get access to the PGA Tour because we want this thing to take this long. It can't happen.
You mentioned Scotty Scheffler this past week, number 1 ranked golfer in the world. He now has had the 4th most consecutive weeks at number 1 all time. He just passed Rory McIlroy. I don't know if that caught your attention.
Yeah.
And then secondarily, what are your expectations for Scotty? He hasn't played it all this year, had the cut over Christmas on his hand. What are your expectations after the year that he just put together a season ago?
Well, after watching him take all the time off and go down to Hero and just whip everybody's butt in the Hero, after watching he and Rory just take Brooks and Bryson to the woodshed out in Vegas in that thing that we didn't even watch, but I read about it, I'm expecting more of the same, Danny. And I got to tell you, who, other than Xander Schauffele, who's going to challenge this? Who is going to be a serious challenger? I mean, you want Rory to be.
That would be the one for me.
But is he? Is he? And I mean, with Bryson gone and Brooks gone, where do we go? I mean, John Rahm missed the cut out in Dubai. I mean, you're thinking, holy smokes, man. How much has his game fallen off?
Do you think a lot. Do you think in retrospect, Jay, that when we look back on Scotty's career, and let's say it's 15 years from now, that people in the history of the game will say, yes, he was number 1, yes, he dominated, but there were guys that were playing on LIV that were the best players in the world as well, top 5 guys that he was not competing against. And so it takes away from his legacy a little bit in 10 or 15 years.
Probably. I mean, it's inevitable. I guess it depends on, Danny, on what winds up happening with LIV. Is LIV going to stay a separate entity for all these years? I mean,
right. It could be a blip of 2 or 3 years, and then they're back.
Yeah, and see, Danny, LIV. Who's the last significant player LIV's added?
John Rahm would be the one that I think
exactly.
of.
Rahm and Tyrrell Hatton. And Tyrrell Hatton won last week in Dubai, which was great to see. But there's all the kerfuffle with the European Ryder Cup. Are these guys going to get to play? Are they not going to get to play? It's just the men's game is such a mess. It's unbelievable. I don't know where they go. I don't know how they let Rahm play. I just don't see how they do it. He's not paying the fine. If he sucked it up and paid the fines and followed the rules, I'd say, okay, well, that makes a little bit of sense, and it feels like he maybe should get this opportunity. But he wants them to look the other way. And I'm like, Danny, if they do that, they're going to lose their credibility.
So if you missed portions of the show, you missed Annika Sorenstam, you want to go back and listen to the podcast here on Jay Delsing's Golf Show, make sure you do that. Also, Dan Politis, one of our favorites here that's done remarkable work in the golf community here in St. Louis. Jay, great show. Always fun to be with you. And how do we end the show?
Danny, it's great to be with you. I don't know how we keep up with this show with these 2 great guests we have on, but we will give it our best. Hit them straight, St. Louis. You've heard me talking about the APT this year, but I want to help break down what this tour is all about. Firstly, it's the Amateurs Players Tour. I was lucky and privileged to have played golf on the PGA Tour. golf's highest level, so I know what it's like to have a real strong and fair competition. For amateur golf, this is absolutely the closest thing to PGA Tour style golf in terms of fairness of handicaps and the competition. Secondly, APT is the largest amateur tour in the country. In just over 6 years, Matt Minder and his team have over 7,000 members with over 44 local chapters spread across the country. The Amateur Players Tour runs over 800 tournaments a year. 800! That number alone tells you that they are doing something right. They play some premium golf courses around the country like Paynes Valley, Kiowa Island Ocean Course, and Torrey Pines South, and many more. Go to amateurplayerstour.com and find out for yourself. That's amateurplayerstour.com.
Hi, this is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center. At FGLC here in Kirkwood, we feature a double-decker driving range, 2 large grass tees with Tahoma Bermuda grass. You want to work on your short game? We have a short game area too, which features a 20,000 square foot green, 3 bunkers, and Zoysia surrounds. Also at Family Golf and Learning Center, don't forget about our 9-hole par 3 course, the indoor TrackMan simulators, and our performance center. If you're looking for the best golf instruction, regardless of skill, we can help. Find out more at FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center. We make St. Louis better at golf.
As you know from hearing Danny and I talk about Marcone for the last 3 years, you know how philanthropic they are. Whether it's their undying support for first responders, the backstoppers, or our wonderful military heroes, Marcone is leading our community in supporting the police, fire, first responders, or the military. From Wreaths Across America to the Marcone First Responders viewing deck at the Stiefel Charity Classic, Marcone is there, making a difference in our community any way they can. That's Marcone, the largest supplier of General Electric parts in North America and proud supporter of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing. Brought to you by CarShield and Doherty Business Solutions. It features top guests, tips from a PGA Tour player, and the latest news and notes from around the world of golf. This